Good morning and welcome to this week's Messiah Minutes. I appreciate you joining us. And as always, hope you like this and share this and you get something from it. I appreciate you guys coming on. And I know we've been staying in mental health for a while, holding our thoughts captive, and we're going to remain there until the Spirit tells us otherwise. A few announcements. We have youth tomorrow night. I ask that you join us. I thank you so much. I've been asking you to provide meals and sign up. And I know the summer looked a little lean. We didn't have anybody signed up, but so far, you guys have signed up and we're full for August. So we are, of course, going to continue to do youth in September, and school's going to start back up. So please sign up for September. But thank you for signing up for that. And I invite you to come join us tomorrow night at 6. Hang out with us at youth. It'd be great. We'd love to have you. And thank you to the volunteers that do spend every week with us. It's certainly appreciated. Tomorrow night, we also have our adult midweek service. Tammy Nichols is going to be leading that. So please join us here at 6:30. And then this coming Sunday, Ed is going to be preaching the sermon, and then we also have our school supplies due. That's August 3rd, so we hope you come out for that. Enjoy some preaching, and then bring your school supplies, because lots of kids need those. So thank you to those who have contributed to that. And then we have coming up later in August 17th, we have our summer party from 4 to 7, and that's out at Wren's Pond. So we hope that you come join us for that. And then August 23rd, at 9 a.m., we want you to show up. Spread some mulch with us, fellowship, and just spend some time on the church grounds, sweating and enjoying each other's company. That would be great. Thank you for that. So let's go back right into where we've been. We've been talking in 2 Corinthians 10, verses 3 through 5. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world, but on the contrary, they have divine power to demolish strongholds. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That's where we've been staying, because we want to learn how to do that. So last week, we talked about what the truth is about our thinking and how every day our lives are impacted and shaped by the way we think. We talked a little bit about like the law of gravity, that the truth doesn't require us to believe in it for it to be true. We can tell ourselves that our thinking doesn't have a significant impact on our lives, but why would we lie to ourselves? It doesn't make sense. I told you last week that we're going to start talking about strongholds, because if we want to demolish them, it's a pretty good idea to know what they are. So we're going to look at strongholds today. I want to kind of talk about them differently. I'm going to talk about them as stories. These are stories from men about some thoughts that they had as boys that have kind of held them captive into adulthood. These are stories I've got from articles, books that I've read, and from just people. So bear with me. We're going to go through these. And the names have been changed. So if you shared with me, I'm not going to put your name out there, but these are just thoughts as men that we struggle with. So here we go. Let's talk about Dave. Dave thought his worth was determined by how much money he made. Dave grew up thinking that success in life was determined by the job that he had, the car that he drove, the house that he lived in, and he was surrounded by examples that kind of reinforced his thinking that the measure of his worth was tied to his net worth. Those thoughts have directed every major decision in his life. He discovered that he was actually aiming at a moving target, and no matter what he did, he was never going to have enough. Let's talk about Bill. Bill grew up thinking that women were objects. Bill's parents divorced when he was a kid. He split time between both houses. At his dad's, he had easy access to his dad's collection of adult magazines. When Bill turned 16, his dad hired an escort for him, so he would know what to do. And by the time he got married, he had been promiscuous with so many women that he couldn't even remember their names. In the early years of their marriage, he was demanding when it came to that part of their life, and he put very unhealthy pressure on his wife. They were constantly fighting about sex, and they got divorced after just a few years. How about Mike? Mike grew up thinking that it was not okay to be sad. Mike grew up in a home where the expectation was to be happy all the time, no matter what, and his dad set that example. Real men might get angry, but they never got sad. Being sad was being weak, and that's for weak people. So when their family dog died, or Mike and his sisters cried, and his dad laughed at him. But now as a man, Mike struggles with loneliness, because when he's sad, he's ashamed, and he's too ashamed to share it. He also deals with anger issues, because It's not okay to be sad, but it is okay to be mad and angry. I want you to think about these, because these are thoughts. They're not just holding them captive. These thoughts are holding their families captive. They're holding their wife, their kids captive as well. I want you to understand that a stronghold is a spiritual word that describes the areas of our lives where thoughts have taken us captive. A stronghold is a lie that we believe and we live by. Strongholds are formed by deep-rooted patterns of thinking, and they're opposed to God's truth and His wisdom. Thoughts become beliefs, beliefs become actions, and actions determine our lives. So we need to be sure that our thoughts are true. In ancient times, the stronghold was it was a building. It was like a fortress built high on the highest peak in the city, or this place that was defendable against attack. This building maybe had reinforced walls all around it, and when the city was under attack, the stronghold was thought to be the place that was impenetrable, the place where those in power would hide so they couldn't be captured or killed. In the Bible, a comparison is made between these strongholds and the thoughts we think that are counter to the truth of God. Lies that have been reinforced so many times, they're lies that we keep so protected that they almost become impenetrable. We have these mental strongholds, we all do. And until we take them captive, they hold us captive. So I think a helpful way to identify a stronghold in your life is to think about an area in which you feel stuck. Maybe you're not really sure why you're stuck, and you just know that you are. And as you think about that area, I want you to think to yourself, is there a lie that I'm believing? Is there a reason why I'm stuck here? When you believe a lie, you actually give it the power of truth in your life. I'll give you an example. So, I don't know about you guys, but growing up, my parents told me a few things that were harmful to me, like cracking my knuckles. That was something that was told that was harmful to me. If I kept making that face or crossing my eyes, my face would stay that way. Those were some things that were told to me. It might be a good rule, but it's not true. It's not particularly problematic to crack your knuckles or cross your eyes or make faces. You're not going to get arthritis. You're not going to have deformed fingers. You're not going to, your face is not going to be stuck in a silly face just because you do that. It's not true. There's many experiments that back those things up. But the idea that knuckle cracking is dangerous is just not true. So if we hear that the wrong thing often enough, we begin to believe it, right? It becomes rooted into our thinking. We give power to that truth. And as we do that, it kind of shapes our behavior. So maybe, like me, maybe you've said that same thing to your kids as you've gotten older. Maybe if you think it's dangerous to crack your knuckles, you would tell them, hey, make sure you don't do that. You're going to end up with arthritis. You want to be able to use your hands when you're older, so don't be doing that. Perhaps it's maybe when you're doing that, it's provided some sort of annoyance or some arguments at some point in your life. Maybe it's affected relationships. I don't know. But your thinking kind of translates into these real life decisions that impact the people around you. And they teach them the same way and the same thing that you think. The point here isn't trying to get you to like crack your knuckles right now or anything, but it's simply to highlight how little things can make little changes in our lives. And if that's true about little things, it has to be true about big things. When you believe a lie, you give it the power of truth. The way you think determines how you live. So generational strongholds pass down from broken thinking from one generation to the next. So to be transformed, the Bible says we need to renew our minds. We need to expose the lies that we believe, capture those thoughts, and replace them with God's truth. And that's the only way we can be set free. So when our thoughts become ingrained, we become attached to our lies. Sometimes because maybe we've believed them for so long. Sometimes maybe they allow us to feel in control. Sometimes because admitting something is a lie maybe calls everything else into question. And sometimes we're used to believing them and believing that it's more comfortable to just keep believing them. And it might be uncomfortable to face some truths. But I've been saying all along, we need to, as Christians, we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable if we're going to change the world. Sometimes we believe them because it's so many people around us, so much of the information we're exposed to helps support that lie. I'm telling you to get back to truth, get back into the Word. and get back into your mind and start thinking some of those things. I'm encouraging you to do that this week. Join us next week. We're going to continue to talk about this. Hopefully, look at it from a woman's perspective, which I will not be giving to you. But I know there are plenty of lies that we all believe, not just men, from when we were kids that hold us captive into adulthood. So we're going to continue to look at strongholds and see how we can defeat them in our own lives and then together by shedding light on some of them. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again. I hope you keep tuning in. I love you guys. Hope to see you this week.